my class on VLSI design. Here in this video, we are going to know Introduction to IC technology. The contents of Introduction to IC technology are: what is VLSI, why we are going for VLSI, applications of ICs, IC evolution, Moore's law, and the processing technologies. So before going to know what is VLSI, can you guess this device? Yes, it was a 5 MB hard disk manufactured by the company IBM in the year 1956. You can observe how bulky it is, and even it required 4 to 5 men to carry this much hard disk. But coming to year 2020, you can have 1 TB of memory in your palm. So you can observe the drastic change in the reduction of the memory size, and also you can observe the cost reduction also. See, if you observe, even in the year 1956, you need to expend around $10,000 even for 1 MB of memory. But coming to year 2020, you can have 1 TB of memory within $200. So how this drastic reduction in the size and drastic reduction in the price of the memory is possible? This is an advancement of VLSI. Now coming to the processors. So in the year 1946, the world's first electronic computer was invented, which was manufactured with vacuum tubes. And at the time of invention of this, the size of the computer was a big room size. And coming to the year 2020, you can have a computer, or you can hold a computer within your hands. So you can observe the drastic change in the reduction of the size of the processor, and also you can observe the speed. Nowadays, the speed of the computers is in terms of gigahertz, but that much speed is not possible in earlier days. So you can observe the vital change in the speed of operation of the processors nowadays. All this is possible because of VLSI technology only. So as we are saying this is because of VLSI, that is because of VLSI, we are going to have a curiosity to know what is VLSI. So VLSI is the process of creating integrated circuits by combining millions of transistors on a single chip. It was invented in the year 1980, with the number of transistors per chip are 20,000 to 10 lakh number of transistors. Here you can observe a VLSI IC, and you can observe here that even you can place it on your fingernail. Now coming to why VLSI. As we are having discrete component versions of all the circuits, why we are going for VLSI? Because this VLSI ICs are having so many advantages than their discrete versions, we are going for VLSI. So among those advantages, few are listed here. Those are: physical size of the device can be reduced, effective cost of the devices can be reduced, the operating speed of the circuits is increased, and it requires less power and more reliable and easier to design. Because of all these advantages, we are going for VLSI. Now coming to the applications of VLSI, or applications of VLSI ICs. So we are going to use these VLSI ICs everywhere in our daily lives, but few are listed here. Among those, consumer electronics, wireless and wireline communications, as we are using VLSI ICs as our memory cards and processors in our mobile phones, and electronic design automation, mechanical electronics, automotive electronics, like we are using VLSI ICs as sensors in cars, etc. And aerospace, even we are going to use these VLSI ICs in aircrafts, and in defense, in as MEMS and bioelectronics also, we are going to use these VLSI ICs. Now coming to the IC evolution. that is a brief history of VLSI. That is, in the year 1947, transistor was invented. After the invention of the transistor, in the year 1960, SSI, small scale integration, was invented with the number of transistors, number of logic gates less than 10 number of logic gates per chip. And the products of SSI are logic gates like AND gate, OR gate, NAND gate, NOR gate. Coming to the year 1966, medium scale integration was invented with the number of logic gates per chip are 10 to 100, and the products of MSI are flip-flops, adders, counters, multiplexers, etc. And coming to the year 1970, large scale integration was invented with the number of logic gates per chip are 100 to 10,000 number of logic gates per chip, and the products of LSI are small memory chips and programmable logic devices. Coming to the year 1980, very large scale integration was invented with the number of logic gates per chip are 10,000 to 1 lakh logic gates per chip, and the products of VLSI are microprocessors, microcontrollers, but now all these microprocessors are of 64-bit microprocessors, and those microprocessors are coming with complete cache memory and floating point arithmetic units, and even RAMs, ROMs, complex PLDs also we can manufacture with this VLSI technology. Now coming to Moore's law. So Moore, he was a co-founder of Intel. He predicted this the growth of number of transistors per chip with the growth of number of transistors per chip with years. That is, he predicted that the number of transistors per chip are going to double for every 14 to 18 months, and the growth is not linear but it is exponential. That is his prediction. If you observe here, in the year around 1971, Intel manufactured a processor called 4004 with the number of transistors per chip more than 1000 number of transistors. But coming to the year around 2010, Intel again produced another IC, that is Intel i7. In that, the number of transistors per chip are more than 10 crores transistors. So if you observe here, so this Moore's law is the prediction from 1965 itself he predicted, and it is the number of transistors on an integrated circuit are going to double for every 18 months. So you can have an example here, 2300 transistors and 1 megahertz clock speed, which is of Intel 4004 and which is a product in the year 1971. Coming to the year 2009, it is 2.16 billion transistors on a chip, and which is of 126 square millimeters and 2.9 gigahertz clock speed. That is Intel i7. So you can observe the drastic change in the variation in the increment of the transistors per chip. But in the year 2015, this Moore's law came to fall down. That is, the number of transistors per chip are not going to double for every 1.5 years to 2 years, but these number of transistors per chip are going to double for every 3 years. That is, this Moore's law became slower. Coming to the processing technologies of VLSI, that is, depending on the type of the transistor which we are going to fabricate on IC, the processing technology is going to differ. If we fabricate only bipolar transistors, then the processing technology will become bipolar. If we fabricate only NMOS transistors, then the processing technology will become NMOS. So like this, the processing technology is going to differ, right? So we have so many processing technologies. Among those, few famous technologies are listed here. So bipolar technology. So bipolar technology is used for high-speed applications. When compared to MOS, it can have high speed, but it consumes high power consumptions. And in this bipolar, again, we will have TTL and ECL logics. TTL is transistor to transistor logic and ECL is emitter coupled logic. Coming to MOS, that is metal oxide semiconductor technology. In this we will have NMOS, PMOS, CMOS, but PMOS is not that much used, and NMOS, CMOS are mostly used technologies. NMOS is N-channel MOSFET, that is that is having less masking steps than when compared to all other, that is when compared to CMOS or when compared to bipolar. This NMOS is having very less masking steps and which is very denser, that is this NMOS transistor occupies very less space, so you can place many more transistors even in a small area. So it is a very denser technology and it consumes low power. And coming to another MOS technology, CMOS, that is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. It have both N-channel and P-channel MOS transistors and it consumes very less power and it requires very less fabrication steps. But when compared to NMOS, it requires more fabrication steps. But these NMOS and CMOS both will consume less power when compared to bipolar. Coming to another more technology, that is BiCMOS technology, which is hybrid technology of bipolar and CMOS. Here CMOS is used to implement the logic and bipolar is used to used as load. And this BiCMOS technology is used for higher speed applications. And coming to another technology, that is gallium arsenide technology. This gallium arsenide technology is also used for high speed applications. And silicon on insulator technology. This technology is used for high temperature applications. Now come to the power dissipations and propagation delays of all the processing technologies. Among those, the most famous technology is CMOS. It can have higher propagation delays, that is the propagation delay is in terms of nanoseconds, and less power consumptions, that is the less power consumption is around microwatts, 100 microwatts only. Coming to NMOS technology, this NMOS technology have more power consumption than CMOS, but also having higher propagation delay as like CMOS. Coming to BiCMOS technology, which is the moderate one. So it have moderate power consumptions and moderate speeds. And coming to this one, gallium arsenide technology. This gallium arsenide technology is having moderate power consumptions but can have less propagation delays. Coming to ECL technology, this ECL technology will consume more power because it is bipolar technology. It yields more power consumption and it have moderate speeds. Now coming to the structure of NMOS and PMOS transistors. Coming to P-type transistor, it is having opposite type substrate, that is N-type substrate, upon which a small silicon dioxide layer will be placed, and upon this silicon dioxide layer polysilicon is placed and this polysilicon acts as gate. So both sides of the gate P-type source and P-type drain will be placed. This is the structure of a PMOS transistor, and this is the symbol of PMOS transistor if substrate is not connected to anything. If substrate is connected to VDD, then the symbol will be drawn like this. Coming to the NMOS transistor, this NMOS transistor is having opposite type substrate, that is P-type substrate, and upon which silicon dioxide layer will be constructed at the middle of the substrate, and upon this silicon dioxide layer polysilicon layer will be there, that is nothing but gate. Both sides of the gate we will be having N-type source and N-type drain. This is the construction of NMOS transistor, enhancement type. And coming to depletion type NMOS transistor, there will be a channel, N channel created between source and drain, and as well as in between a silicon dioxide layer and substrate. And coming to the symbol of the NMOS transistor, the symbol of the NMOS transistor will be drawn like this. If the substrate is not connected to anything and this arrow mark is inside the inside the transistor, and if substrate is connected to ground, you can remove the substrate symbol and you can draw like this. Now the key feature here is the length of the transistor. The length of the transistor is nothing but the length of the gate. So the length of the transistor was in the year 2002, it was 130 nanometers. So you can observe how small it is. And in the year 2003, the length has been reduced to 90 nanometers. So the length of the transistor is going to reduce year by year. So we can place more number of transistors on a single chip. So coming to the year 2019, the length of the transistor was 7 nanometers. Coming to year 2020, it may become up to 5 nanometers. So we came to know that what is VLSI and why we went for VLSI, and what are different applications of VLSI ICs, what is brief history of ICs, and what are different processing technologies of IC design, and also we learned the structure of NMOS and PMOS transistors in this class. In the next class, we are going to know how to fabricate NMOS transistor on IC. Thank you.